All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. So, I did a recap already of the entire event. However, when I watched the recap back, I realized that I alluded to a major point that I meant to make, and then I trailed off into some tangent and literally forgot to come back to it. And what I'm talking about is the Colby and Masvidal beef. Now, anybody who watches my channel consistently knows I have been very, very consistent that I don't believe that their beef is real. And I'll go through all of the reasons that I didn't believe it. And then I'm going to say, and this is very rare for me, very rare. When I'm pretty sure about something, it is very challenging to get me to adjust my viewpoint. And last night, I don't know, I actually might buy it now. And I'm talking after years. I never bought this at all. No, I never even basically entertained that it was real. I have thought it was absolutely fake for sure, front to back. Anything that happened, he left the camp. I'll walk you through exactly what my thought process was all the way leading up to last night. And then I'll tell you what happened last night that has really rattled my faith in my theory, man. So, yeah, if you like the content, subscribe and ring the bell. Obviously, you'll know by the end of this video, if you've never been to this channel before, you're gonna be like, wow, this is a pretty unique channel. I've never heard anybody go off on something like that for that long, but hopefully you enjoy it. And if you do, subscribe and comment, etc. Now, before I get started, before I get into this Masvidal and Colby beef, this is a sponsored video, you guys, kind of. No one's giving me any money, but I actually do have 3 different things I want to tell you about. Number 1, this is gonna be super quick. This sweatshirt is Gym King, okay? So Cody Garbrandt posted an ad, Gym King, on his Instagram, and I looked at it. It was like a full tracksuit. I was like, dude, that is so sick. I haven't bought something faster than that like ever, and I bought this sweatshirt. I'm wearing it because I think it's that awesome. Okay, so now if you guys want to come on and be like, hey, bro, that sweatshirt's fucking sorry, go ahead. But I'm so proud of it that I'm literally talking about it on the channel for no reason. I'm not sponsored or anything. I just like the sweatshirt. All right. Now, also, if you like my channel and you watch my stuff consistently, I like to think of this channel as a community, not just like I try to engage with anyone who comments on my stuff, or if you guys email me, I always try to respond. I think of us as a community, and as such, I think that we all should support each other. Okay, and one of our brethren has a channel that he asked me to plug on the video, on the video. It's called Mesjitsu, MESJITSU. And there's some jiu-jitsu tutorials, and also here's what I'm not gonna be I've watched a couple of videos, I haven't watched a bunch, but what I loved right out of the gate was the titles of these rolling matches. Asian dude versus CrossFit guy. Love it. Bearded guy versus CrossFit guy. Bearded guy versus Curtis Thor. So I have no idea if these videos are actually good, but I will tell you that that's funny enough that you should go check it out. All right. Now, also, if you're wondering how I always have such a shiny demeanor, right? Such a shiny demeanor. It's because I leverage these nootropic. This is 100% true. It's my wife's company. She asked me why I've never mentioned it on the channel before, and I was like, man, I don't know. And this is I'm actually doing this as a favor, okay? I would never, ever, I've never even created merch or anything, man. I would never try to sell anything that I didn't 100% believe in. And the reality is, the way that I'm always so sharp and, at least I think I'm sharp, but the reason I feel so sharp is 100% because of these products that Gabrielle distributes. Nootropic coffee, nootropic happy capsules. I use the tea and the happy capsules, and there are a bunch of other things. Anyway, I'm gonna put the link in the description. If you guys want to check them out, I will absolutely stamp my credibility on how awesome they are. I use them every single day for the last 18 months. Every day. When we run out, I get super mad at Gabrielle. I'm like, Gabrielle, I'm out of peach tea, dude. You need to pay attention to my stockpile. I can't just not have it. Okay? Look at how stupid I sound already. Jeez. If I don't have it. Anyway, neither here nor there. So let's rock and roll. All right. So that's probably hopefully I'm entertaining enough that you could just watch me talk about other random stuff and you're like, all right, this is great, but get to the story. But we're there. So the reason why I didn't believe that Colby and Masvidal's beef was real from the beginning is because I had seen the documentary that they made, behind the scenes, where it was them, where they were living together and training together and all that. And and I'm really good at reading people and reading like relationships and all that, and like their relationship was identical to mine and my best friends. He and I lived together for 7 years. Like all through college we lived together, graduated college, we lived together for another 3.5 years after college. We only ended up like, he moved out because Gabrielle moved in and I married her, but and I'm telling you, like, that's exactly what their relationship is like just exactly the same. And so I just kind of projected myself into this situation because I see a lot of personality, like my personality is more like Masvidal, Colby's is a lot like my best friend. And I'm just like, dude, if you had to put odds on this, right? Like the odds that this is real versus them collaborating and faking this, I'm going 98% fake, like 98%, just based on, like, there's no scenario where I would have a public beef. I'm not saying that they couldn't have disagreements, right? And if like Colby didn't pay his coach or whatever that thing is, like you might have a problem with him. That's not going to go from you're literally my closest friend to I'm in the media, I'm going to smash his teeth in. I hate this guy. He's a deadbeat. He's pathetic. He's a sorry ass, especially given that the timing is exactly in conjunction with when Cody adopted the heel. He wants to be the heel. He wants everyone to hate him, right? And here's another thing. If you go back to the really early Colby stuff, did I say Cody? I don't know. Colby is who I'm talking about, obviously. If you go back to like the early interview, like the very, very beginning when he first started doing the shtick, right? And he did this one interview specifically where he's talking trash about everyone. The way that he does now, but it was like, it was early on. And he starts talking about Masvidal. He's like, he's a journeyman, man. He's a journeyman. He's a street Judas, And she goes, so wait, what's your status with Masvidal? And he goes, he's my best friend. He's my best friend, but he's still a journeyman, man. He's still a journeyman, whatever. And you could just tell, like, I was like, I guarantee you that they listened to that together. Like, this is all part of my theory, like, I'm like, they probably listened to that interview and they're like, dude, if you're going to do this heel thing, that shit's not going to work. You can't be like, oh, this guy's garbage. Oh, also he's my best friend. He's like, you got to go all the way or whatever. And then they probably talked about all kinds of funny stuff they could do. And it becomes the ultimate inside joke, right? And then they go to the guys at American Top Team and they go, look, we're doing this thing. And you guys have to understand, okay? A fight gym, especially like a professional one like that, and anybody who's been in an environment like that can testify. I would please, anyone who has been in a high-level martial arts gym for an extended period of time, not you did some classes, but like over multiple years where the same people are training together, testify to this in the comments, please, that the bond that exists in that like gym or that group is absolutely unbreakable. Like, and it's even if you have a disagreement with someone in the gym, it's you guys against the world. You have to understand, like, you're training to fight, right? And you might not like a guy, like their personality might clash a little bit, but you're training to fight, and then you're going to fight other men or women from other groups of tribal fighters, okay? Those bonds are so strong, dude. Like, you would literally throw yourself in front of a bus for the guy you don't like on your team, if there's some kind of threat from another team. Like, it's bonds built in battle, man. Foxhole shit. And so if those guys went to the American Top Team and they were like, look, and Cody's like, look, I'm doing this thing now, and we're going to say that me and, we're going to be doing this thing in the media. Obviously, please, if anybody sees us training together, whatever, keep it, just best approach. Just don't talk about me and his relationship at all. Like, cool. And if you think that would just like leak out, it wouldn't, dude. Like that would violate, and honestly, if in your mind you think like, oh, that would leak, I'm telling you, that says more about you as a person than it does about this situation, because anyone who's been in that environment will know, dude, no one's going to leak that. Like, if they're on their team, they're not going to leak it. They're just not, dude. Like, the bonds are too strong. And so This whole thing, and then and Dustin Poirier got in on it, and everyone's like, yeah, but DP, I think the DP thing is real. I'm like, guys, Dustin Poirier is best friends with them also. You know, you have to understand, and they're like, did you hear the stuff that he said about him? Did you hear the stuff that Dustin Poirier said about Colby? Did you hear the stuff that Colby said about Dustin? Did you hear the stuff that Masvidal said about Colby and vice versa? And I'm like, okay, you have to understand, if you are in the foxhole together, and this is a thing that you are doing, right, that you're collaborating on, that you're the only ones in on, your fight group, right, and the rest of the world is not in on it, the more hardcore you go, the worse shit that you say about them, the better, the funnier it is with you guys. You know, you think that they're he's calling him a journeyman, dude. He's talking about his record. Are you guys mental? You think that the two of them don't know Masvidal's record? You think that they that's crossing some line? Every person on earth knows his record. They're in a room saying all the things they're going to say to each other, and anyway. So to me, I didn't see anything that looked even moderately believable about it, right? And here's the other thing. I'm going to be very self-important right now as it relates to the story, because I actually think it's possible that I might have had an effect on this particular beef. Not through this channel, though, okay? So Mixed Molly Whoppery has a huge channel, obviously. I have a tiny channel, growing, but tiny. And Mixed Molly did one, I can't remember exactly, it's one of the Covington videos, one of the Colby Covington videos. And when it was on, when he did the Patreon video, right? So he did so if you're not a Patreon member of Mixed Molly, he puts up Patreon videos, and then people comment on them. And then when he puts it on YouTube, a lot of times he'll do the video, and then he'll also spend time responding to the comments that were on Patreon. Okay. And sometimes he'll put additional footage potentially. So in the Patreon version of this video, he's talking about the Colby and Masvidal beef, okay? And at this point, Molly's just assuming that it's true, right? That they have beef, right? Now, I had seen this interview that Masvidal did with Ariel Harwani, and I was like, and he's he's doing the interview, and then in the middle of it, someone walks into his apartment, and he does this weird thing where he grabs his computer, goes, whoa. And he grabs the computer and then rearranges himself and goes over to this other side of the room to where he's facing where he was sitting, okay? So obviously you can't see who's in the room with him, but there are 100% new people in the room. And Ariel is asking him questions about Colby, and the way that Masvidal is answering these questions and then how he's interacting with the person, whoever's in the room, I looked at that, I was like, that's Colby in the room with him. That's Colby, and that's probably Dustin Poirier and Colby in the room with him right now. That looks like multiple people in the room. If I'm a poker player, which I am, what I'm reading right there is Colby's on the other side of that computer, because they asked him, because Colby was still at American Top Team at that time, which is another thing where I'm like, you guys, he trains at the same gym. This whole thing, when I see him, I'm going to knock him the fuck out. Are you guys serious? How many advanced jiu-jitsu classes do you think there are? These are the most elite of elite guys. They train together. They go to the sparring sessions. They're gonna see each other. If they're at the same gym, they're gonna see each other. It's absurd to think that they could be at American Top Team. They're like, oh, American Top Team is a really big place. I was like, okay, so you just don't understand how these fight gyms work. Okay, yeah, it's a big place, but you don't have that many elite fighters, and the ones that you do are going to participate in the same events, man. It is what it is. So that was already ridiculous to me. And so he's laughing, and so Ariel goes, so George, when was the last time that you saw Colby? And George goes, I don't even know when I saw that dude. I think he's got Trump's Secret Service now or something. And it was just he just completely broke character, man. I don't know how else to say it. He broke character. Where it was all of a sudden his beef with Colby was a total joke. And whoever's on the other side of the computer, he's laughing about it with them, right? So Mixed Molly does this video, right? And Mixed Molly and I we already knew each other, right? Or we had wrapped out through email and stuff. and I wrote him a comment on it, and I was like, hey, Molly, you are a brain surgeon at reading people just like me. Go back and watch that Ariel Harwani interview again. Colby's in the room with him. Like that interview where he's saying whatever, Colby is in the room with him. Go watch it again. So then when Mix Molly did the response video, like, you know, he did the video and then he put it from Patreon over to YouTube, he had watched it. And he was so convinced himself that he actually edited it and put it in. He was like, I think he's onto something here. He goes, at the end, he's like, he goes, that was cheeky. I'm not doing it justice. As a matter of fact, if I remember, I'm just going to put it in right here and you guys can watch it for yourself.
Jesse, watch the interview clip of Jorge on Ariel's show again. Consider that everyone agrees Colby's thing is an act, and him, Dustin, and Masvidal were all best friends. You're an expert in reading people just like me. Well, thank you very much. Watch that clip again. Colby and Dustin are in the room with him. That interview is when I knew the Colby beef is fake. He's in the room with Jorge, and so is Dustin. Okay, let's take a look at that. Actually, this is pretty interesting. When the interview starts, Masvidal looks up as someone enters the room, and he kind of jumps up and reorientates the camera so you can't see who's in the room.
Wait up, I'm switching. I'm being told to switch positions.
Okay.
Yeah, we're upgrading to like a bigger screen or something.
And throughout the interview, he's making these kind of cheeky glances up, and he's got a really cheeky kind of look on his face. I think he might be onto something. And there's a point as well where the other person in the room speaks, and Jorge just breaks down laughing, but he won't say who's in the room.
But I'm the one calling the fucking shot. I can't tell them all that.
Come on, what is this? What was that?
And then whoever that person is continues to speak throughout the interview, and Jorge just kind of waves him off.
You know?
Jorge, are you attending UFC 246?
So it is suspicious. I think that could be a good catch there. That was cheeky. If that is true, that was fucking cheeky.
But anyway, so I mean, listen, by the end of this video, I'm just going to talk myself back into that it's not real, but we're going to get there, okay? So then, Mix Molly puts that out on YouTube, okay? It's a huge video, and it's about Colby Covington. It's got fucking 600,000 views. What are the odds that Colby hasn't seen that video, right? Like, what are the odds that Colby Covington hasn't seen a documentary about himself that has almost 1 million views? Like, a fucking course he's seen it, right? And at the end, right, in my comment, I said, they're training at the same gym, dude. Like, this is absurd. Like, look, he's in the room with Masvidal. Like, this is not real, right? It's in that video that got 600,000 or 700,000 views. And literally, inside of a few weeks, Colby left the camp. And I was like, damn, did I do that? I mean, it could be totally unrelated. Like, it could be total coincidence. But that happened. And I remember thinking in my head, I was like, I wonder if they saw Mix Molly's video and they're like, man, if we're going to keep this up, we're not going to be able to keep up this American Top Team shenanigan, you know, like, you know. But any of the problems that they had inside of American Top Team, dude, again, foxhole shit, right? Like Dan Lambert, you know, you think Dan Lambert's not going to help these guys with a fake beef that's going to sell a lot more pay-per-views? Or here's another thing that was a huge giveaway to me, okay? Joanna and Jacek, right? They asked her about Colby, and she gave this like ridiculously over-the-top answer. He's like, "Oh, I think he's garbage. I think he's dude. He's a clown, dude." But like, she went hard, and I'm like, okay. So again, if you're reading the poker table, right? She's a girl, dude. Like, I know she's a fighter and she's outspoken, but she's a fucking girl. You think that if two dudes that are on her team had a personal beef with each other, and she knows both of them, right? It's a beef between Masvidal and, you know, and Colby, and maybe Dustin. Is Joanna gonna literally come out and then just be like, yeah, I'm in this shit too? Fuck that guy. If there's a real thing going on, if there was a real thing going on, she would say like, I don't know, that's between them. I keep my nose out, right? Like, just think about human behavior, dude. Like, it's the exact same reason why if Masvidal had a real beef, he would be saying, I've got problems with this guy. Think of how Masvidal is, dude. Think about his personality, right? Like, seriously, think about it. Like, is he a guy that does all, like, talk? No, he's I'm gonna fuck this dude up, and he pieces him up if he's actually got a real problem. Like, it all felt like an act to me, right? And keep in mind, we're driving towards me saying I might, for the first time, I'm going to say I might be wrong about this. And by the way, if Masvidal and Colby see this, I'm sorry, my channel's not big, okay? Like, I'm doing this video. If I had a huge channel, I wouldn't do this video, okay? Like, I'm just telling you directly. If I had 50,000 subscribers, I wouldn't do this video. I wouldn't be trying to step on anybody's money. I have a very small viewership. This is not going to make any difference if the beef is fake. So don't fucking hate me forever if you see it. And it's fake. But maybe it's real anyway. Okay, so then you get to the number one piece of evidence this is just like, again, by the time I get to the part where I'm going to say I think it's real, I'm going to talk myself out of it completely, because this one is just, it's ridiculous. It's absurd, okay? So you got Colby Covington, right? Who's doing the shtick. He's doing the MAGA shtick. He says, I'm gonna put my belt on the White House desk. I'm gonna go say to the greatest president of all time, Donald Trump, I'm gonna do dirt, right? And Dana White is friends with Donald Trump. And what do you know? Colby Covington ends up in the White House with Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, say what you want about him either way, okay, as a president, you know what kind of dude he is, okay? Trump likes to surround himself with guys that he, like Colby Covington, like he's almost as excited to have Colby Covington in his cell phone as Colby is to have him in his cell phone. He's a at the time he's a champion fighter. That's the kind of shit Trump loves, you know? Like, this is the kind of stuff he loves, you know, fighters, and he likes me. All right. Love this kid, you know? And so they have a relationship. And then Colby Covington has a relationship with the kids, Eric and Don Jr., for sure. Like, they're coming to his fights. They know each other. He knows Candace Owens now. Like, it's this big little, like, this circle, right? He is in with the Trumps, for sure. And then during the campaign, all of a sudden, Masvidal is the front man for the Miami effort or the Florida effort to capture the Cuban vote and turn it red, right? Or make sure that it goes red. Like, Masvidal's out, he's on the campaign trail. He's the most active fighter in a political, you know, election I've ever seen. He's literally on stage, you know? And again, if you want to talk shit about this in the comments, fucking save it, dude. Save it, okay? Because I can promise you, you haven't, I mean, I'm talking about domestic American people here. My international crowd, I am not making assumptions about your life. But domestically, I can say pretty confidently that none of you have ever had a stronger reason than Masvidal for what's driving your vote, right? His dad had to flee communist fucking Cuba, okay? He's not down with the left, dude. He's just not down with the left. So, but nonetheless, he ends up on Trump's campaign, okay? Now, do you think he's the only, like, professional fighter that would love to have helped Trump campaign? Like, Trump got 76 million votes, man. There, you know, you split the roster down the middle. I mean, you poll the roster, it's 50-50 Trump Biden, guaranteed, right? And so there's lots of people that would have loved to help Trump. None of them end up on the campaign trail. Why do you think that is? Because how the fuck would they, right? Okay, and think about this. So Masvidal wants to get on the trail. First of all, how would that even enter his mind that he could, right? Like, how would that even enter his mind that he could? And in the event that he did reach out, you don't think that the Trumps are going to reach out to Colby and be like, hey, this guy, I think he comes from your area, wants to campaign with us. What's up with him? Is he cool? Like, seriously, think about it. If you've got a blood feud, like, you're telling me that they wouldn't ask Colby to vouch for the guy before he's going to get on a stage and fucking campaign for them? Think, you guys. Think. Okay, they know Colby. They're not going to ask him if he can vouch. And if Colby has a blood feud with Masvidal, you think he's just going to be like, hey, man, you know, we've got this little problem, but he could do some good, you know, get on there. He would, if the beef was real, he'd be like, this guy's a fucking scumbag, man. This guy used to be my best friend, and he's out in the media telling everybody that I'm the worst person ever. Like, you know, like he completely stabbed me in the back. Fuck him. Don't use him. That's 100% what would happen if the beef was real, obviously. Okay? But Masvidal is out campaigning with Trump. Colby maintains the same relationship with Trump. Like, think about this. Masvidal is out campaigning for Trump actively for, dude, weeks or months. Like, he was super active, like on stages, talking to large groups of people. So think about that, right? And then think about this. Colby was at the White House with the Trumps on election night. Okay? So that's how connected both of these guys are to the Trump campaign. And you know who was fucking dead silent on election night on Instagram? Masvidal. No pictures, nothing. Like just he had a non-presence. And that was pretty uncharacteristic for him, you know? Like he's pretty active on social media. And on election night, like he did one picture which was like, here, I just cast my vote. Just cast my vote. And that was it. Totally nondescript where he was. So, yeah. I mean, basically, that's where I was at, right? An amalgam of circumstantial evidence in my mind and human behavior that I feel extraordinarily confident in my ability to just read that, like, I don't care what they're saying about each other. Like even with the things they're saying about each other, oh, he stiffed my coach. He wouldn't. First of all, he wouldn't. I don't think he would even do that. But second of all, it's just a conversation you have, and you think that like your best friend comes to you and you're like, "Hey, dude, you use my coach. Like, you got to pay him." And you think your best friend is gonna be like, "Fuck you, I'm not paying him." This is like before they have any beef. That seems like a reasonable interaction. Hey, dude, you use my guy. Like, you owe him. Fuck you, bro. Like, that's just none of it sounds even remotely believable to me. Okay? But now we finally, 30 minutes later, we get to the but. So again, with me projecting the original sin of my belief here is me projecting my own relationship with my best friend onto this situation because I saw so much of us in them, like in the documentary. And last night, Masvidal got knocked out. And they had a camera in Colby's face instantly. And he was cheering. Like, he was like, yeah, fuck yeah, Street Judas. And I was like, whoa. Because that doesn't fit, you know? Like that, and I mean, like, think of all the evidence I just gave you. They got all this shit that I just laid out right there. Which to me seems like if I would have just stopped the video right there, I would imagine 95% of smart, or I don't know what 95, but the majority of people who started off believing it was real would be like, I think you're probably right. But his reaction to Masvidal's knockout was like, just doesn't fit at all to me. Like, because even if you're acting, you know, it's a calculated thing and you guys are talking shit about each other in the media and whatever. But if you're and you're still best friends behind the scenes, if I see my best friend get knocked out fucking cold like that, like a serious knockout like that, like you know, an accordion knockout, and they have a camera in my face 1 second later, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if I'm fully committed to the act, maybe I could do it. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I could do it, but I don't know, man. That was hard for me to believe that like they're that good of friends and that he could cheer like that when his best friend got folded in half. Like, that's a different thing, dude. You know, being able to like see your boy, dude, like your fucking, again, we're assuming that that's what's going on. Like your fucking best friend, you know, not only lose, but get hurt bad, you know, like you've never seen him get hurt like that. I don't know. For me, I don't think that I could just kick into character, you know, like I just don't think I would be able to, because obviously, you know, Colby is playing a character. I don't know. Literally, that's the only piece of evidence that I have that I think, you know, goes counter. But a lot of what I've been saying for the evidence that it's fake is just me being able to read people. And I still think there's an enormous, overwhelming amount of evidence that I see that it's not real, but that shook my confidence in the theory a lot last night, where I was like, fuck, man. Damn, I don't know. I'm not a professional fighter, you know? Like, I'm not a professional fighter. I mean, I've seen lots of people get knocked out. I'm very conditioned to violence, obviously, but like, I don't know, man, but like, I don't know. So maybe if you are training at the level they're at and they're sparring all the time, people get knocked out in training all the time, whatever, and you're so conditioned to it that it's like, I don't know. But the idea of like being able to snap into cheer, yeah, fuck yeah. If your best friend just got smoked like that, that's hard for me to get behind. But again, that's a tiny little data point compared to this huge amalgam of evidence in the other direction, in my opinion. But the thing, here's another reason why. I mean, if I'm talking to anybody who's, you know, if there's any fighters or managers who watch this, which seems unlikely, but just if there are, the other reason why I feel comfortable doing this and saying this out loud and not really worrying about fucking anybody's money up is because it doesn't matter anymore. Like, it just doesn't matter. Like, whenever they fight, they're going to sell an enormous number of pay-per-views. Like, people might want to is it real? Is it not real? I mean, I'm not giving any decisive answer. I'm just telling you why I don't think it's real or didn't think it was real, whatever. I'm still going to buy the fucking event, and so is everybody else. So I don't think I'm fucking with anybody's money here, even if this thing went viral, which it won't, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've talked about their beef like being fake enough that the first thing that really shook me on it, I figured I should probably make a video about it. So that's what it is. Now, also, there's one other thing that I'm going to mention here. So Dana White lit this guy. You know what? Maybe I'm going to do another. Actually, I'm going to do another video about that. But anyway, that's it. If you like the content, subscribe and ring the bell. Love you guys. Peace.